Okay, hello everybody. My name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. My peoples, where you at? Want to talk a little bit about the Trump-Harris debate. Now, to be honest, if you didn't watch it, don't worry about it. A lot of people didn't. Myself, I don't usually watch debates really either. Not usually. I kind of think debates are a waste of time because I already know who I'm going to vote for. Right? There's not really much that Donald Trump can do or say that would make me vote for him. And not really much that Harris can do or say that would not make me vote for her in this election. I mean, I guess if it turned out she was a serial killer or something, maybe I wouldn't vote for her. But anyway, so I did want to see, though, how this debate would go since the last one between Trump and Biden went so badly for Biden. In fact, it went so bad that Biden had to drop out, so I kind of wanted to see, well, let's see how good Harris can do. I don't think I was the only one who thought Harris was going to clean up in this debate, and sure enough, she did. She just has advantages over Donald Trump. Number one, she's not insane, right? She's not a crazed, rambling old man with spaghetti for brains like Donald Trump is. But number two, she's like 22 some odd years younger than him. That can make a big difference when you're that old. I mean, how old is Trump now? 78? I think he's only 3 years younger than Joe Biden, and we already see the cognitive decline going on with Biden. Trump ain't that far behind. And I think really what this debate showed, though, more than anything, is that Donald Trump lives in a bubble. He's kind of in a bubble surrounded by yes men, and he's getting high on his own supply. So some of the lines that I saw that I thought were freaking hilarious, I want to share with you guys. This is Donald Trump talking about Haitian immigrants eating cats and dogs.
They're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
Now, this little tirade was in response to Kamala Harris saying that you should go to a Trump rally because all it is lies, and one thing you won't hear is him talking about you. And she was really good throughout the whole debate about taking everything back to her message, which is, we're going to make things better for you. That seemed to be her theme going throughout this whole debate here. And then her other theme seems to be baiting Donald Trump into getting him into saying stupid shit like Haitians are coming to eat your dogs and cats. And that's what this actually is. This thing comes from this bullshit that he's spewing right here is from some fake news on Twitter where people are claiming that in Springfield, Ohio, Haitian immigrants are eating dogs and cats. There's no truth to that. It's bullshit, and it's something that all the fucking chuds are spreading around. People like Cat Turd and shit like that. All the usual dickheads on Twitter and stuff are spreading around these lies. And Donald Trump fell for it. Like I said, I don't think he understands that normal, ordinary people aren't inside of the same idiot right-wing bubble that he's in. Normal, ordinary people aren't following people like Cat Turd on Twitter. They're not spreading around these dipshit lies. They're not paying attention to conservative social media that spreads around the latest horseshit story like this, you know. That's basically what the story is. It's an anti-immigration story. Like, you ever notice that whenever an election shows up, all of the right-wingers start flipping their fucking lids about illegal immigration and undocumented migrants and stuff like that, and you start seeing stories about caravans and all this other thing, and then the minute the election's over with, all those stories go away. You ever notice that? That's what this is. That's what this latest thing with the fucking Haitians are eating dogs and cats and geese and ducks and stuff like that. That doesn't change the fact that it's bullshit. And Donald Trump is spreading this stuff because he's a goddamn moron. Like, think about that, right? Any person with a brain could have told you that saying that on stage will make you look like a fucking lunatic. Donald Trump obviously either is an idiot and didn't understand that, or he's surrounded by yes men who said to him, yeah, go ahead and say it, Donald, yeah. You know, he's surrounded himself. I think it's a combination of both. I think he's a moron, and every single person that he ever talks to is a fucking suck-up sycophant who just wants his money. That's what I think. And if you watch through this whole exchange, Kamala Harris is just like smiling and all this, just letting the old man dig that fucking grave a little bit deeper. Let's listen to a little bit more here. There's only about 20 seconds left.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
But the people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying
manager.
their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield.
Do you see Kamala Harris's face? Look at Kamala Harris's face right here. Look at that. Look at her. She's just like, you poor, sad old man.
Manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme.
And she just laughs at him. Now you see how like arrogant Trump is. We'll find out. See, he doesn't know that it's a phony baloney story. He doesn't know that's fake. He doesn't know that's made up. Somebody like Jesse Waters or whatever may retweet that story, but he would never claim that it's like true. Somebody like JD Vance even would not claim that shit's true. He would not claim that's fucking real, right? He knows that, you know, JD Vance is smart enough to understand that that story is bullshit and it's just there to get people angry at immigrants so that they go out and vote for Republicans. But Donald Trump isn't. He's not smart enough to understand. Like, he's falling for his own propaganda. It's so fucking ridiculous. I mean, that's the only interpretation I can get from this. He either thinks that everybody out there is going to believe him because he's Trump and he could say lies, or he thinks it's real. And that's fucking embarrassing. That, I think, is the most viral of these clips that we've seen so far. This is from C-SPAN, and this is about 2 minutes long, where Donald Trump is talking about his healthcare plan and how shitty America is going to be if Kamala Harris wins.
It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up.
All right, first off, remember, there were some 60-some-odd votes, I think, in order to get rid of Obamacare. Every single one of those failed. And the Republicans didn't have a plan to replace it. So why would you get rid of the plan you have and not have a plan to actually replace it? Like, the Republicans never proposed any legislation all throughout the Obama years, all throughout the Trump years, as to how they want to replace the ACA. You know, ACA is Obamacare, right? So keep that in mind. So what he's basically saying here is, the Democrats wouldn't vote to get rid of it, and we would have had an awesome plan. It's like, well, where's your plan? You said you were going to have a plan. Where is it? Right? That's what this question is. Moving on.
They wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones, too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just...
Jesus fucking Christ, stick to the subject, please. You were talking about healthcare, that he's talking about, I got really good people, top people. Then the bad ones, it's like, oh my god, this fucking marbles rolling around upstairs. You know what happens when you listen to Donald Trump talk? You forget what he was trying to talk about. He just sort of rambles on and on and on and on. And it's like, well, what was the fucking point? Get to the fucking point, please. What was this question even about again? It was about healthcare. Let's not forget. Moving on. Okay, there's about a minute left.
Just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
Now, keep in mind, what did he just say? He said, oh, I had a choice to make, I saved it. Which I assume he means he saved Obamacare, as in he didn't repeal it. But the thing is, the president can't repeal a law. The president is not capable of doing that. The president doesn't have that power. President can't just be like, okay, no more Fifth Amendment. That's not how it works. That's what essentially Obamacare, the ACA, that's what it was. It's like a program. It's like a program, just like welfare is, just like Medicare is. President can't just show up and just be like, okay, no more Medicare. That's not how it works. Congress has to repeal it. So he didn't have that ability. He just got finished telling us that the Democrats wouldn't vote against it. And then he said, but I kept it. I had a choice to say, so I kept it. I saved it. I saved it for like, what the fuck are you talking about? So he doesn't even know how the presidency works. He doesn't even know what powers the president has. People need to understand this. He's not just a gibbering lunatic who rambles on and on and on and on. He has a fundamental misunderstanding about what the role of the president actually is. He thinks the president is like a fucking dictator. He thinks the president can just decree something and then it happens. It's like, that's not how this shit works. People don't understand that. People aren't picking that up in his language because they're so used to Donald Trump just spewing out bullshit. Moving on.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if
I have concepts of a plan. That's what I wanted to show to you guys. And I think this clip is not getting the amount of scrutiny, or it's not being spread around as much as it should. It's not getting the same amount of attention that it should. I have concepts of a plan. Donald Trump said that he was going to have a health plan for us in 2020. August of 2020 is when he said he was going to have his health plan. It is now September of 2024. There's still no healthcare plan. Okay. And then he just said, well, I wasn't president. So you had 4 years of you as the president to come up with a healthcare plan. You could have had it on day fucking one. Didn't he say in 2016 that the first thing he was going to do was that he was going to repeal and replace Obamacare? Didn't he say that? That was one of his campaign promises. And then by 2020, he said he was going to have a healthcare plan in 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks would go by and he didn't have the healthcare plan. He'd say, hey, we're having it in 2 weeks. Oh, we're working on it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. One of his promises in 2016 was that everyone was going to have healthcare and the government was going to pay for it. Do you remember that? Everyone's going to be covered. And then he never came up with the plan. And then years and years and years went by. And then now he's saying, oh, well, I'm not president, so I don't have a plan. Well, motherfucker, you're running for president. You're running for president. And not only that, you filed to run for president the nanosecond it became legal for you to do so, because you were trying to keep yourself out of prison. So don't give me this, like, I don't have a plan shit. You've had a fucking year. You've had more than years. You've had like 5-6 fucking years to come up with a fucking plan. And he still hasn't done it because there is no plan. People need to understand he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't care. He will never have a plan. There will never be a healthcare plan. Ever. People don't get this. Right? People still fall for his fucking lies. And the Republicans and shit don't care because the Republicans want it to come back to the way it was. That's their fucking actual real plan, is they want to get rid of all of it. They want to get rid of everything that the ACA has, especially the restrictions on the healthcare companies and the fucking drug companies and shit like that, you know, so that they can start kicking you off the fucking healthcare rolls again And they can cancel your insurance the minute you go to actually use it. Remember, that's how it was. That's how it was back in before the ACA. You'd have health insurance for years and years and years, and you would pay them money for years and years and years. And then the minute you got sick, the minute you actually needed to fucking use your insurance that you paid for, they would just cancel you. They'd find some bullshit excuse. Oh, you had acne. That's a pre-existing condition. No, we're not going to cover you. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if that's like, say you went to go buy a car and you went and you paid all the money to get your car, and then you show up to get the keys, and then the car company, you know, Toyota or whatever, just tells you to fuck off. No, we're not giving you the car. Fuck it. Okay, no. What are you going to do about it? Sue us. That's what it was like. Would you tolerate that in any other industry? Yet it was okay. It's okay for fucking the healthcare people to do it. It's such bullshit. That's what they really want. That's their actual fucking plan, because they don't have one. They don't have one. It'll just go back to how it fucking was, so that they can just steal and steal and steal money from you, and you can't do jack shit about it unless you're already rich. That's what the fucking American healthcare plan is. That's what the healthcare plan, according to the Republicans, are. Die. Pay us money or die. And even when you do pay us money, we're still not going to help you. Fucking people, I hope that shit spreads around like crazy. I'm seeing it somewhere on Twitter. It really needs to spread around. People really need to understand what Donald Trump is all about. He does not care about you. That shit's fucking sickening. Oh, I have concepts of a plan. Fuck you. Right? Such fucking bullshit. This one I thought was fucking really hilarious here. You guys are gonna love this.
Trump, your
Well,
response?
first of all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him. But I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction. And
What it was is Kamala Harris said that he got $400 million from his father, and now he's in the middle of denying it. But no, he actually did get $400 million from his father when his father died. He actually did, and he blew it. He blew it because he did shit like opening casinos, and then somehow he managed to fucking bankrupt a casino, because Donald Trump is a very horrible businessman. And it's like, if he would have just took that $400 million and just like put it in a nice stock portfolio or something, he would have billions and billions of dollars now. And he didn't do that. He fucking like wanted his own steaks company and shit like that, and he did all these scams and everything, and he ended up losing all the fucking money because he's a goddamn moron. So he's lying straight to the audience right here. He's lying straight to your face. Just want to, everybody just remember that. He's lying his fucking ass off.
I built it into many, many billions of dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So,
does Donald Trump act like a billionaire? I mean, he's got the plane and his name in lights and stuff like that. He's also selling trading cards and NFTs and shoes and all this other bullshit, and taking like bribes from fucking the Egyptians and stuff like that. Is that what billionaires do? Do billionaires have to hawk themselves, like prostitute themselves like fucking carnival barkers? That's what Donald Trump is. Donald Trump is like one step up from a fucking P.T. Barnum. Like, you know, like wasn't he selling NFT trading cards with pieces of his own suit that he wore or some shit like that? It's like, it's the most pathetic fucking thing. Like, would you really do that? If you had $1 billion, would you prostitute yourself like that? Fuck no. Yeah, okay, sure, you got $1 billion. Get the fuck out of my face. But anyway, moving on.
So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly.
By the way, thank you, Donald Trump. I don't think I could get any more hard. Really? She's against fracking? Awesome. She wants to defund the police? Please. I wish. That's the thing about this kind of thing. It's like, the way they describe the Democrats is always way left of where the Democrats actually are. I wish fucking Kamala Harris was like, you know, for defunding the police, right? I wish she was anti-fracking. She's not, unfortunately. She's very corporatist when it comes to that kind of thing. She's a standard Democrat. She seems to be very pro-choice, that kind of thing, for abortion rights, stuff like that. But when it comes to like dealing with corporations and shit, she's not very any different than Joe Biden. I mean, we kind of know what we're voting for, though. But they always make it sound like, oh, the Democrat is like the most insane left-wing wacko liberal there ever is, you know, one step above fucking Karl Marx. It's like, dude, don't threaten me with a good time. Moving on.
Very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police.
Yeah, I love... You can always tell when Donald Trump is making shit up, because at least 12 or 14 or maybe even 15 policies, like, you understand he's just pulling this shit right out of his ass, right? He's not... There's zero proof to any of this. He's just making shit up on the fly right now because it sounds good. That's what Donald Trump does, is that he just rambles and rambles. And that's, like, if you ever watch video of him at these rallies, that's what he does at these rallies. Like, these Donald Trump's rallies are very much like, they're very much like stand-up comedy, because all he does is just, like, say the couple of bits over and over and over again, and then if people laugh, he repeats it. Like, you know, the whole thing with the Hannibal Lecter thing, he keeps talking about Hannibal Lecter for some fucking reason. It's like a joke, and he did it once at a rally and everybody laughed, and then now he does it at every fucking rally. It doesn't have to make sense. That's what he does. And that's what he's trying to do here. He's pretending that he's at a rally right now. He's saying all the same shit that he would say at a rally, except he doesn't have a crowd at this thing. And when you hear his rhetoric that he uses at these rallies, when you hear it in normal conversation, it's fucking batshit insane. It actually really is. It's like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Moving on.
In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
That, by the way, now look at her face. Look at her face. She's like on the verge of fucking laughing her ass off. Because he stole that line from her. All right. I'm talking now. It's like, you know what? The correct response to that is go fuck yourself. And you can kind of see that that's what Kamala Harris really wants to say. It's like, I'm talking now. Sound familiar? Fuck you. All right? Like, this is why I could never be a politician. This is why I could never be a politician, because the first debate I had, I would just tell the guy to just fucking suck my dick, like, within the first 5 seconds. The first time somebody, like, interrupted me at a debate, I would just, like, bitch him out. Like, get the fuck out of here. Fuck you, Donald Trump. Arrogant piece of shit. Like, I don't know. But that's just me. Moving on.
She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal.
Okay. Transgender operations on illegal aliens who are in prison. Now, if that isn't the most batshit insane right-wing Twitter fucking troll shit I've ever heard. Somebody obviously made that shit up. Now, what is he really talking about there? There's probably a news story out there somewhere about how some Democratic politician somewhere supported the idea that people who are in prison should be allowed to get gender affirming care, which they should, by the way, folks. Just because you're in prison doesn't mean that you're not a human being anymore. You should be allowed to get gender affirming care. If you're in prison and you're taking fucking hormones and shit like that, you should still get them, and the government should pay for it. You know why? Because the government threw you in prison. That's why. And you see how that gets extended to, they want to make transgender surgeries for people who are illegal aliens who are locked up in prison. Like, first off, no, Kamala Harris never said any shit like that. That's fucking stupid. Secondly, it's like you can see how they twist it around. You can say everything that he says, you can say it in a rational way and it doesn't sound so bad. What does that really mean? It means that people who are in prison should get gender affirming care. And then you could just twist that around into saying that illegal aliens who are locked up in prison are getting transgender surgery, like they're forcing people to get their dicks chopped off or something. It's such idiotic bullshit. It's like It's just such fucking bullshit. It's scaremongering, idiotic, right-wing, insane Twitter fucking troll bullshit. And the thing is, when he says this ridiculous shit at his rallies, everybody laughs, everybody cheers. But then he says it during a debate on live TV in front of 65 million people, everybody cringes because you can, without a crowd there to like cheer, suddenly you understand. It's like, oh, that's how insane all of this sounds. And really, I think that's what actually won Kamala Harris the debate. It wasn't really that she won, although she did have some good points there. She did have some good things that she said. She really won this debate by stating her stuff that she wanted to get out, and then allowing, like, baiting Donald Trump and then allowing him to just fucking hang himself. Throughout the whole thing, she didn't try to interrupt him, like maybe once or twice. Every time he interrupted her, by the way, you know, they would turn the mics on and they would let him talk. But for her, like, no, they never let her do that. And that's kind of why she won. Because she allowed the fucking manic ramblings of this insane old man to demonstrate for everybody just exactly who the fuck he is. That he's just seriously off his fucking rocker. He's not firing on all four thrusters. he's fucking nuts. That's what it is. And, you know, I think she did a good job besides when she did talk and she did get some things in. Especially there was a part where they talked about abortion. She fucking dragged his ass through the fucking dirt on abortion. Right, where she was talking about, oh yeah, no woman, you know, because he repeats this lie. See, Donald Trump seems to think that everybody wanted him to overturn Roe v. Wade because, you know, he's in a right-wing echo chamber. And she was like, no woman who's like getting arrested for having a fucking, I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but getting arrested for having a miscarriage or something like that wanted Roe v. Wade overturned. You know, like stuff like that. She really fucking nailed his ass to the wall on the abortion question. But there were some other things too that she got out there that she did a good job. So really that's what it was. She essentially allowed him to just fucking talk himself into oblivion. So very happy about that. But, you know, one thing to remember, folks, right, is that Donald Trump loses every debate. Like, he literally has won one debate. He actually cleaned up. If you remember back in 2016, when he was debating, like, Marco Rubio and shit like that, and, like, fucking Jeb Bush, he mopped the floor with those assholes. But when it came to debating Hillary fucked him up. Hillary just destroyed him. And she ended up losing. Okay? Like, so just because Kamala Harris does really good in a debate like this doesn't mean that she's going to win. Now, I hope she gets a bounce for this. I hope that some people were watching this, because there was about roughly 70 million people watching this debate, which is nice. It actually did really well in the ratings and stuff like that. And I'm hoping that some of those people were undecideds and they can see this insane person for who he is. And she most likely will get a bounce, you know, a sort of bump, post-debate bump, which usually happens when somebody wins. But, you know, we can't be complicit, I guess is what I want to say. Just because she did well in a debate doesn't mean she has this thing in the bag. Get out there and you know, if you're going to do anything, donate some money. And if you can't donate your money, donate your time, you know, canvas, do phone calls, whatever, something like that. And if you can't do that, then just talk to your friends and family about voting and who you're going to vote for, and get commitments from them to get them out there and make sure they fucking vote, because this shit is important. And if you're in a swing state, the more important it is, right? But even if you're not in a swing state, there's things that you can do to be active. There's things you can do to make a fucking difference. Because if anything has been demonstrated over the last 8 years, is that, yeah, your fucking vote does count. Your vote does count, and it does matter who's in charge. And I guess that's how I want to end it here. You know, it really does fucking, like, every time there's an election, somebody always comes up and has to pull this bullshit like, oh, it doesn't matter, your vote doesn't count, blah, blah, blah. They're both the same. I think that this debate kind of demonstrates that no, they are not both the same. Not this time. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are polar fucking opposites. They are the farthest fucking thing that you can get from being the same. And it matters. It matters who's in charge of the country, right? We can't let this madman fucking take control again. 4 years of this fucking insane person is enough. Anyway, thanks a lot, folks. That's all I got. Adios.
Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.